Good afternoon to all of you once again. I welcome you to this next webinar in the series of talks under the Azadi ka Amrit Mahotsav. We are glad to share that on completion of 50 such talks, webinar series, we organized a panel discussion with esteemed speakers on the rise of green hydrogen economy. It was widely attended. So further to this, we have been organizing talks on different topics, and waste management has been one of the burning topics. We had many speakers where we talked of municipal waste, industrial waste, agriculture waste, and much more, how the waste can prevent pollution, managing the waste, and how it can reduce the exhaustion of our resources. We can also produce clean energy and also provide a sustainable future. Another important area, which is very important, is the electronic waste. We all know the use of electronics is increasing day by day in our lives, in our society. So it is very necessary to manage this electronic waste. We properly dispose it, we reuse it, and of course, collection is the main thing. So we need to recover, recycle by safe methods, and also reduce its impact on environment. We had management rules 2016, and these were amended in 2018 so that we could have more recycling and more recovery. With this, I invite the speaker of the day, Dr. Garima Chauhan, who is well versed in this subject, to give us her illuminating talk on this topic and tell us how this waste can be managed and how we can make a better waste of it. I also request Mr. P.V. Singh to kindly introduce the speaker, and then we can have the talk. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Welcome, Dr. Garima.
Thank you very much, ma'am. And good morning, everyone. Good morning, Dr. Garima. I welcome to the 53rd series of webinar. Skill Council for Green Job is organizing a series of webinar to celebrate Azadi ka Amrit Mahotsav 2022 as a part of India's celebration of 75 years of independence. In this series, SCGJ is inviting eminent and learned speakers in different sectors on sustainable development, renewable energy, and waste management, so as to deepen the understanding recent development in these sectors. The first in the series was launched on 24th September 2021. Today we have very experienced learned speaker who will be sharing his expertise and experience on electronic waste management. Size the opportunity. Dr. Garima Chauhan is an experienced research professional in the field of waste management, heavy oil upgrading, and extraction metallurgy. She is currently working as a scientific editor at Cactus Communication. Dr. Chauhan holds a PhD degree in chemical engineering from India Institute of Technology, Delhi, in the field of waste management and extracting metallurgy. She had also been working as a scientist at Greenfield Global Steeper Energy, Canadian Natural Resource Limited, and Alberta Innovates Canada on different projects in the field of production of vanadium-based batteries, metal extraction from heavy oil upgrading, production of aviation fuel, and many more. She also worked as industrial advisor at the Department of Chemical and Material Engineering, University of Alberta, Canada. Before joining this position, Dr. Chauhan had worked as an adjunct faculty at Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University, New Delhi. She also has experience working as a scientist at Max Planck Institute for Dynamic of Complex Technical System, Germany, on developing biodegradable pathway of metallate complex. She has published more than 25 research articles in peer review, international journals, and book, and also an author of the book Sustainable Extraction of Metal from Waste Streams, and currently working on her next book, Chemical and Biological Approach for Solid Waste Management. Dr. Chauhan has been a member of several editor boards, recognized reviewers in more than 20 peer reviews journals, and active member in several professional development activities. Dr. Garima likes to explore art such as painting and writing poems, blogs in her free time. Her artwork, artwork has recently got recognition in the artwork exhibition Alberta. Now, over to you, Dr. Garima. Yeah, Dr. Garima, over to you.
Can you see my screen?
No, ma'am. Right now it is not visible.
Now?
Kindly no.
No?
No. Yes, ma'am. It is visible. I am requesting you to do the full screen. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for such a nice introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of this prestigious 75 webinar series. Today, I'm going to talk about electronic waste management. I chose this particular topic because of several reasons, because we all know that solid waste, whether we talk about domestic waste, whether we talk about kitchen waste, gardening waste, or electronic waste, they all offer a lot of opportunities in terms of employment, in terms of technology development, in terms of environmental and economic benefits associated with it. I chose electronic waste particularly because, first of all, this is one of the fastest arising waste streams, especially after COVID-19, when all of us were forced to work from home. Many of us started setting up our office at home. Many of us started learning computers during this COVID-19 time. My father just started learning computer only during the COVID-19 time. And many people did the same. So after COVID-19 or during the COVID-19, the demand of electronic equipments increased exponentially. And eventually, in the coming years, the generation of waste will also increase even exponentially. And that's how this becomes a need of the hour, that we know how to manage this in electronic waste in a proper way or in an efficient way. And that's why I chose to especially talk on this particular waste stream. Another motivation to talk about electronic waste is its abundant amount of metals present in it that can offer a lot of opportunities in terms of resource recovery, as well as it can be a hazardous cause for environmental pollution. So we need to really know, or we need to be very mindful about the electronic waste management strategies, that how can we overcome these challenges and how can we turn them into opportunities. And that was the motivation to especially focus on electronic waste management in this particular talk. Today, in this particular presentation, I'm going to cover very briefly what is electronic waste, because until unless we don't know what is electronic waste, we cannot decide the management strategies of electronic waste. Then what is the composition of electronic waste, the general scenario, or how much amount of electronic waste is being generated across the globe every year. What are the existing processing routes and what are the challenges associated with those processing routes. And then I will go into deep about the challenges and opportunities associated with e-waste management. So this will be the outline for today's presentation. First of all, I start with what are the different opinions circulating across the globe about electronic waste. So we have heard a lot about e-waste management strategies, whether this is the need of the hour. Many people say many positive things about the resource recovery, that we can extract metals from them, we can convert plastic into fuel, which is present in the electronic waste. There are a lot of opportunities in terms of collection centers, in terms of manual sorting, in terms of refurbishing. So there are a lot of articles, research articles, news articles available that tells us what to do with the electronic waste. But at the same time, there is another challenge associated with electronic waste. And we have seen some of the studies that are talking about the very reasonable concerns associated with electronic waste. So if we talk about electronic waste, which is piling up every day because of the increased use of electronic item or because of the technology advancement, there is an increased concern associated with this piling up of e-waste. And it is also a very troublesome but very concerning topic that we need to find out what are the positive aspect of electronic waste management, but at the same time, we cannot ignore the negative aspect of electronic waste. So we need to develop the management strategies in a way that we can minimize the generation of e-waste, as well as whatever e-waste is being generated. We should know how to manage that particular e-waste or how to convert that particular challenge into opportunity. So that is the major objective for today's presentation, that what are the major challenges and what are the opportunities that are associated with these challenges. So what is e-waste? We cannot convert any challenge into opportunities until unless we do not know the basics of anything. We can call e-waste to anything which is lying around for 2 or 3 years or for 2 or 3 months, depending upon how we define e-waste. So there are two broadly speaking terms about electronic items, about the waste generated from electronic items, whether this is e-waste or this is waste electrical and electronic equipment. These are two very broad terms. In today's presentation, I will just refer as electronic waste for simplicity. But for our knowledge, waste electrical and electronic equipment basically includes e-waste in it. E-waste covers only the electronic items, but waste electrical and electronic equipment, WEEE, includes all the household appliances as well as electrical appliances in it. But for today's presentation, I will just say electronic waste or e-waste for simplicity purpose. So now if you want to define electronic waste, it refers to all the items of electrical and electronic equipment and its parts that have been discarded by its owner as waste. This is very important to understand why did I highlight these two terms, discarded by its owner as waste without the intent of reuse. When I say discarded by its owner as waste, that basically defines or that basically conveys a message that this is completely consumer's choice when you want to say that this is waste for me. So for example, if we talk about mobile phones, everybody has mobile phones right now. Whoever is in this particular presentation, who is attending this presentation, everyone has mobile phones either in their pockets or on their table or in their hand. Some of us discard our mobile phones in every year because of the technology advancement, or some of us just want to keep the same mobile for 5 or 6 years or for 3 or 4 years until unless it is functioning. That is completely your choice. That is completely consumer choice. When you say that now I do not want to work with this particular mobile phone, I want to change it. But at that time, this is not waste until unless you decide that this is waste. This is completely your choice. So until unless, so if you are discarding it with the intent of reuse, so if you are discarding it in a recycling center, or if you are sending it to a collection center, refurbishing center, or you are reselling it to someone, this is not waste. You are doing a responsible job to send it to a recycling center. But if you are considering it as a waste when this is in a functioning state, then this is completely your choice. And then it includes, then it becomes a part of electronic waste. So here, these two terms are very, very important, that discarded by owner, considering as a waste, without the intent of reuse, because until unless you have the intent of reusing it, this is not a waste. So whatever amount of waste we are generating, the major portion comes from the consumer's choice when you decide to say it as a waste. Now, why we are talking about e-waste so much? Why e-waste is the need of the hour? Why people are saying that this is the future, this is the e-waste management is the demand of the hour? Because it has a lot of potential in it. electronic waste, whether we call printed circuit board, whether we call it mobile phones or any household appliances, whether it's washing machine or it's juicer mixer in your kitchen, every electronic waste is a heterogeneous mixture of more than 1,000 compounds. Now, more than 1,000 component itself sounds a very big amount, and it is a very complex mixture of these components. But the good part is they have very weak interfacial bonds. Therefore, recovery of those resources is relatively easy. At the same time, that is environmentally hazardous, because if we are just dumping electronic waste into the garbage, chances of leaching of those components into environment is really high, because they are easy to liquid. So now it offers opportunity in terms of resource recovery, but it also can cause environmental hazards. So that is a major reason why electronic waste management requires a special attention. Now, if we want to define these more than 1,000 toxic components into 3 broad categories, these 3 broad categories are organic materials, ceramics, and metals. In ceramics, basically it covers silica, alumina, alkaline earth oxides. In organic materials, it can cover polymers, persistent organic pollutants, and glass fibers. So if we are saying polymers, it is basically plastics. So your mobile phone casing, laptop body, or your TV outer structure or charger, whatever things which is made up of plastic, they are basically covering in this polymer. So they are polyethylene, polypropylene, polyvinyl chloride, PTFE, PPE, many more. Then there are persistent organic pollutants. So it may have bromine flame retardants that may generate a lot of toxic gases. It may have fluorine, bromine. They all are very persistent organic pollutants. So whether they are leaching into the soil, whether they are leaching into water, or whether they are releasing into the air as a toxic fumes, they will be persistent in the environment, and they may enter into the food chain. So therefore, it is really important to Therefore, this is really, really important to manage this electronic waste in a very mindful manner. Now then, the third organic materials come glass fibers, which is the screens of your computer, screens of television screen, mobile screen, etc. Then if we talk in terms of metals, we can broadly categorize them into ferrous metals and non-ferrous metals. So ferrous metals are iron, nickel, stainless steel, something like that. And in terms of non-ferrous metal, we can further categorize them into hazardous metals, precious metals, and rare earth metals. So now, if we are talking about precious metals, or if we are talking about hazardous metals, they are offering resource recovery as well as they are offering environmental benefits if we can recover them somehow before releasing into the environment. Now, if we talk in terms of mass fraction, why we are saying e-waste as mines above ground? There are many articles which say e-waste as a mines above ground. Why do we say it? Because basically, in terms of mass fraction, these electronic waste have a major fraction of metals in it. So on an average, it is around 40 to 60%, depending upon which particular electronic waste we are talking about. So for example, if we are talking about printed circuit board from a laptop, that will have a different metal configuration than a printed circuit board from a mobile phone. Similarly, the battery of a laptop or a battery of a mobile phone will have different types of metals. So that all depends on what kind of electronic waste you are talking about and what mass fraction. But on an average, if we see the general average composition, metals are around 40 to 60%, organic materials are around 16 to 30%, and ceramics is the remaining part. Because of this abundant amount of metals, like for example, if we see like in printed circuit board, it has 50% metals. Out of those 50%, even if we are able to recover around 20%, we are really recovering a lot, because we are not talking about hundreds or thousands of tons of electronic waste. We are talking about millions of tons of electronic waste generation. And out of those, if we are just recovering 20% of that, that will itself will be a huge amount. So we need to really make efforts to recover as much as we can. Now, in order to identify that how much amount of e-waste we are really generating, whether this will be really mindful to develop a technology or to start or to initiate a startup to recover these resources, whether it will be really economically beneficial to work on that. We need to understand how much electronic waste we are generating and how much metals we can recover from that, or how much resources we can recover from that. So in terms of an ideal scenario, when the electronic waste generation is minimum, this is the ideal scenario that I'm showing on the screen. So initially, raw material that is being sent to the supplier or manufacturer, they develop a product on this, and then it comes to the market for business. Once it comes to the market for business, we, who are the consumers, we buy it depending upon what kind of technology this is offering and what kind of technology we want to work on. We use it for certain time duration, and after certain time duration, depending upon what kind of upgrading we want, we send it, we decide to discard it. For example, now recently, iPhone 13 or 14, I don't remember exactly whichever has been launched recently, many people have decided to just upgrade their iPhones. Many people have decided to upgrade from Android to Apple. So now at that stage, whether your mobile phone is 6 months old or 2 years old or 5 years old, it's your choice whether you want to discard it as a waste, whether you just want to store it in one of your drawer of your house, or whether you want to send it to your collection center. So that's how I say that at this point, consumer choice decides whether it will be electronic waste, or whether it will be a reselling item, or whether it will be a reusable item. So for example, in an ideal scenario, you decide to send it to a collection center or recycler unit. Here at collection center, there are many skilled people who decides whether it can be reused, whether it should be sent to a refurbishing unit, or if it is not reusable, it can be used for the resource recovery. So based on their analysis, it can be sent to the refurbishing center, where it will be refurbished and again will be ready for the new business. If it is not ready for the refurbishing, then it can go for the recycling, where it can be converted into value-added product, and these value-added products can be again used for the new manufacturing or supply. This is the ideal scenario in which we can expect minimum amount of e-waste generation. But are we really following this ideal scenario? How many of us really discard their mobile phones into the collection center? Until unless you are not getting a discounted price from the manufacturer that bring your old mobile phone and we will give you the new mobile phone on discounted price. Until unless this kind of convincing marketing strategy is not there, how many of us really make an effort to go to the collection center to discard our mobile phones, or to discard our laptop batteries which are not working, when you just decide to change your battery, or when you just decide to change your laptops? I don't think 10% of us either go to the collection center. I never went to the collection center, so I cannot even blame anyone. But this is the ideal scenario. If we are not following this ideal scenario, we are generating around 53.6 million tons electronic waste in 2019. And this is the data for 2019, when COVID-19 did not really hit. After 2019, COVID-19 hit badly, and now further projections can go even much higher than 74.7 million tons of projected numbers, which were projected in 2019. Out of these 53.6 million tons of electronic waste, unfortunately, only 17% were recycled. Rest 83% were only sitting idle, even in some of the landfills, or were processed through incinerators. So these 83% were basically informally recycled. These 17% which were recycled sustainably, they are the only percentage which we can say that this is a responsible scenario of e-waste management. Rest 83% really requires further management strategy so that we can develop an effective way of managing this e-waste. Now, what are the major existing processing routes which we are following these days to manage this electronic waste? So this is a scenario that, for example, this year e-waste generated, and as I have said previously, that consumer awareness is the major contributing factor to decide whether your electronic item is waste or whether this is reusable. Now, I will come to this company responsibility point later, because that is another important factor to decide how much amount of e-waste you can minimize. But for now, the e-waste processing routes, there are major 4 e-waste processing routes, out of which, unfortunately, landfilling and incineration is at the top. Landfilling and incineration, most of us know the disadvantage associated with them, because most of know that piling up of electronic waste, whether it is in your backyard or whether this is in a collection center or whether this is in a non-adequate storage unit, is not beneficial. So why I'm saying landfilling and incinerators are not recommended, because once your electronic waste is landfilled, it starts leaching its component into soil, into water, and into air. And once it enters into the food chain through soil, water, air continuum, it enters into human body and it affects the human health. So basically, landfilling indirectly affecting environment and human health both. Same happens with the incinerator. Many incinerator units are claiming that they are incinerating in an incineration chamber and they are not releasing gases into the environment. But until unless you do not have a gas cleaning unit associated with your incineration chamber, burning fuel, burning waste at high temperature is just like burning in the open air, whether you are doing it in an incineration chamber that does not have a gas cleaning unit associated. And there are many small cities, many towns where electronic waste is basically not segregated. It is just being collected with other domestic waste. And at this point, I'm talking about the small chargers, mobile chargers, laptop chargers, which are not working, and you just discard it into the garbage. Or household appliances like juicer mixer. In our kitchen, if juicer mixer is not working, we hardly care about sending it to the collection center. We just give it to the kabadi wala or ready wala who are coming to collect it. And then this goes into the municipal solid waste. And in some small cities, these municipal solid waste is burned to reduce the volume of solid waste. And because of this burning, unfortunately or unintentionally, the toxic gases are released into the environment. So these are the major issues associated with landfilling and incineration, but still, unfortunately, around 80% of the WEEE or electronic waste goes to landfills and incinerator in present scenario. Another waste processing route is transboundary shipment. Transboundary shipment is a major topic of debate. Why this is a major topic of debate? Because some of the people who are supporting transboundary shipment, they claim that this is a bridge. This is a bridge between the developing and developed countries in terms of technology development, or it is the bridge to overcome the digital divide. But fact suggests that this is not basically working as a bridge. This is just basically working as transferring your waste into our countries. Why? Because you do not have that cheap labor in your country. You just find low-cost labor in Asian countries or in developing countries where you can easily discard your electronic waste without worrying about damaging your environment, but you are sending it to the developing countries. And that is happening basically in the transboundary shipment. So basically, according to UN estimates in 2019, nearly 4,000 tons of WEEE is discarded per hour globally, out of which 80% are exported to Asian countries. And how we are treating these 80% which are being exported to us. There are many, this all transboundary shipment is basically promoting child labor. This transboundary shipment is basically promoting unhealthy working conditions, because they get labor at low cost in developing countries. Now there are many government initiatives who are trying to ban this transboundary shipment. One of them is Basel Convention. This Basel Convention basically comes to the producer responsibility. So they have developed an initiative, extended producer responsibility, in which it will be the sole responsibility of the producer to manage the electronic waste. And that's why we are getting so many exchange opportunities these days from the producer or from the marketing from the marketing people that bring your mobile phone, bring your old mobile phones and take the new mobile phones with the discounted price. Why? Because now this is their responsibility to manage the electronic waste. And this is a very good step that they are convincing you to bring your old mobile phones to their center where they can refurbish it and they can make it reusable for the second life. Otherwise, we will be hardly caring about sending our mobile phone to the recycling center before changing it. So this is a very good step from the basic information and from the marketing people or from the production chain, that they are providing you different options to bring your electronic items to the refurbished center. There are other initiatives also like ROH's initiative or WEEE directives or STEP initiative who are trying to ban transboundary shipment and who are trying to minimize the child labor, especially for these kind of jobs. Now, there is another processing route, reuse and refurbish, which is my personal most favorite processing route, in which you have options to upgrade, resell, repair, reconditioning, or remanufacturing your electronic item. So, for example, I have a laptop, its battery is not working and I need to plug it all the time. What will I do? I will just try to change the battery. And what will I do with the discarded or replaced battery? Should I just dump it into the garbage? That is the general strategy. Or should I send it to the collection center? Because I have upgraded my laptop. So even though this is my personal favorite that I want to upgrade thing before changing it completely or before discarding it completely as a waste, what I am doing with the discarded battery, that I am thinking that I am a responsible citizen who is upgrading, but if I'm not sending this discarded battery into the collection center or refurbishing center, I'm still contributing to the electronic waste. So at this time also, even we are reusing or refurbishing, we have to be very mindful how we are working on this particular processing route. So there are two different ways. One way is when you discard an electronic item, when this is not functioning at all, or when this is poor functioning, you refurbish it by generating little amount of e-scrap. Now this e-scrap, if not handled in a cavalier, if not handled in a effective manner, can again contribute to landfill or transboundary shipment. Now, if you are mindful in terms of refurbishing, sending it to refurbishing center, it can be utilized for the reusability. Similarly, if your mobile phone, which you just want to upgrade because of the technology advancement, you want to change or you want to buy a new mobile phone for technology advancement, if it is functioning, just try to sell it on marketplace. There are many opportunities, or there are many websites who sell second-hand items and people buy second-hand items so that they can be reusable in second ways. So this is one of the processing route which can be sustainable and which can help in minimizing electronic waste. And again, this completely depends on consumer choice. So reuse or refurbish cannot be sustainable processing route until unless there is no consumer awareness involved in it. Then the fourth processing route, which is very technology specific processing route, this is recycling. Now recycling can be done in two ways. One is formal recycling, in which specially designed facilities are used, protective working conditions are provided, skilled employees are used. But this all comes with the associated high cost, and therefore people are quite reluctant, especially the new recyclers unit are quite reluctant to work on this specially designed high quality facilities and protective working condition. To avoid this high cost associated with this, people are generally following informal recycling, which is an unregulated, unregistered, and beyond the reach of official governance method, which promotes transboundary shipment, which promotes child labor, which promotes low wages for the employees, and that therefore this is basically a very illegal way to do. But this is the most prominent way of recycling, and basically this is the way how in India every household appliances are being discarded. They are just being discarded to kabadi walas or redi walas, so that they do not have to worry about the collection center, going to the collection center, and they are just getting rid of their electronic item or electronic waste. So now in this e-waste processing route, there are certain challenges associated with it. So if we talk about landfilling and incineration, this is one of the major challenge. If we talk about transboundary shipment, this is one of the very important challenge to deal with. And most of all, informal recycling and consumer awareness, because until and unless a consumer is not aware enough to discard, how to discard, where to discard, this informal recycling and transboundary shipment will be continued all over the place. So now I'm going to the next and the major theme of this presentation, which is e-waste challenge and opportunities. What are the major challenges that we have seen in the existing processing routes, and how we can turn them into opportunities, and what kind of opportunities we can see in those challenges. So one of the major challenge that we have to deal is lack of consumer awareness. So as I'm constantly saying in this presentation, that consumer is the king. Consumer decides what is waste and what is useful, what can be reused, what do you don't want to reuse. In India, unfortunately, our tendency to define waste is quite common. We decide to upgrade our technology, decide to upgrade ourselves for technology advancement, and that is not bad. That is really good. That we need to upgrade ourselves for technology advancement. But at the same time, we have to be mindful that how we are managing with the waste that we are generating for this upgrading. So if we are just generating waste without even thinking about that, where are we storing this waste, that is not a very responsible decision, and that is not a very technology advanced decision. So in India, we are generating around 3 million tons of e-waste annually, and out of this 3 million tons, around 95% of India's e-waste is recycled in the informal sector. And when I say informal sector, I'm just saying about the kabadi walas, redi walas, and piling up of e-waste in non-adequate storage conditions, or piling up of e-waste in certain areas of metro cities. Like, I can just say a few names, like Salimpur in Delhi or Dharavi in Mumbai, where electronic waste is just piling up and piling up and piling up without even thinking about what to do with this waste. But it is just there. In India, we have about 178 registered e-waste recyclers, and this is the data from year 2019. Now it will be even more, around 300 or 400, I don't know the numbers. But out of these 178 registered e-waste recyclers, many of the recyclers are not even recycling at all. They are just storing, and they are not even storing in the proper condition. They are storing it in hazardous condition. Even I have seen 3 or more recycling centers in Delhi. They are just right in the middle of the residential colonies, which is not allowed by law, but they are there. They are just storing electronic waste in the hazardous condition without even thinking about the capacity, how they are going to handle this electronic waste, how they are going to transport this electronic waste. They are just sitting there. In that case, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology has initiated e-waste awareness program under digital media, and that is a very, very huge step in terms of creating awareness and educate people. At the same time, it creates opportunities for the collection centers with adequate storage, because if you know the hazardous impact associated with the inadequate storage, you will be a responsible startup person, or you will be a responsible skilled employee who should tell your people that how to store it in an adequate condition. It should not be stored in the residential area. It should be in the industrial area only. So there is an opportunity to develop or to initiate a collection center with adequate storage. There is an opportunity to formalization of informal sector. And how can you do that? When you are planning, just for example, today I decide to open a collection center. For me, the first step will be, I am going to open this collection center in this particular industrial area, but how I am going to get the collection electronic waste? In that case, my approach will be to connect with kabadi walas who are going to particular residential areas to collect their waste. I will tie up with those kabadiwalas in that way. I am giving them an identity. I am giving them identity card of my company to collect electronic waste. They will get a sense of accomplishment. They will get a sense of acknowledgement for their work. And that will be a reputation of their work, because they are really doing a good job in that sense. And in that way, you are formalizing that informal sector. So this is an opportunity in terms of starting up, in terms of initiate your startup, but also providing employment opportunities to other people. So that will be an opportunity. Another way is to tie up with different NGOs and to tie up with different e-waste awareness program, because you know how to deal with this electronic waste, but you should educate other people also how to manage this electronic waste. So you can conduct awareness workshops. There will be many opportunities to tie up with NGOs to develop, to provide employment, to get employment in terms of in terms of organizing workshop. And that is another opportunity associated with the lack of consumer awareness challenge. Another challenge is informal recycling. Informal recycling that promotes the transboundary shipment. Informal recycling that promotes the child labor. There are many areas in metro cities where 10 to 12 years where 10 to 10 years old kids are working for manual segregation of garbage. They are segregating plastic and electronic waste. They are segregating plastic and domestic waste. They are segregating electronic waste and domestic waste. Or they are basically segregating mobile phones, keyboards, mouse, wires, chargers, different things. This is child labor, and it should be prohibited. It should be banned. In that way, you can contribute for the efficient segregation and disassembly. There could be many opportunities for the startup. Now, how can you provide your inputs for the efficient segregation and disassembly? When you hear the news, and there are many news available on internet or on literature, in research literature, that plastic has been converted into jet fuel, or plastic has been converted into petrol, or we have extracted metals from electronic waste. It is not just like you put your mobile phone in a reactor or in a furnace and you are just generating a fuel. There are multiple steps associated with this, and these multiple steps before reaching to that final stage of producing jet fuel or producing petrol or producing or extracting metals, there are many steps associated, and you could be part of those steps. Safe pre-treatment techniques, which are generally ignored in the research level. So when you get electronic waste, the first thing that we do is manual disassembly. So for example, I'm talking about my mobile phone. If I need to discard it as a waste, or if I need to process it, the first thing will be manual disassembly. I will segregate its battery, its screen, its plastic body, its printed circuit board, and other things, the large parts. After this, it will be sent to a shredder or crusher where the particle size will be reduced. Once the particle size is reduced, it will be processed through several unit operations for separating different particles or different components, depending upon magnetic components, depending upon gravity-based separation, depending upon eddy current separation, electrostatic separation, and many more. So this all will depend upon what kind of electronic waste you are processing. But there will be many operations associated with this. So now it offers a lot of opportunities. And once you have separated them, then it will go for the final processing or final resource recovery, like extraction of metals or biometallurgical recovery or hydrometallurgy recovery or plastic to fuel conversion. But before that, all these pre-treatment techniques needs a skilled employee. So here comes opportunity. You can tie up with a collection center to collect their electronic waste. When they deliver that electronic waste, it could be a separate startup unit where you can manually disassemble and shed and crush it to the desired particle size. Then it can go to the several unit operations. That could be another startup where it could be magnetic separation, gravity separation, cyclone separation, and these all can tie up. They will offer a lot of employment opportunities, as well as they will offer a lot of technology development. And these are the opportunity associated with the challenge, that is informal recycling, that will avoid the transboundary shipment, that will avoid the child labor, that will avoid the low wages work, and that will avoid the exploitation of people's caliber. But now, when you decide to work on the startup, what should be, you have to be very mindful because you are now planning to develop a business or you are planning to hire employees in your startup. There are certain stages that you have to be very, very careful before even thinking about this as an opportunity for a startup or for an employee, for hiring new employees. The first thing is, what are the resources required for your startup? The first thing is, you need to be very careful that each electronic waste or each electronic item requires a different type of processing. A mobile phone battery will require a different type of processing than a printed circuit board of a computer. And they will require a different type of processing, not even at the point of metallic and non-metallic processing. They will require a different type of processing even for the shredding or crushing, because you cannot just shred a battery, but you can shred a printed circuit board. So you have to be very knowledgeable enough in order to define what kind of processing you need. You need a skilled employee for this. And then you need a storage of hazardous substances. So you need a proper location. Where are you planning to store your hazardous substances and what conditions you are planning to store? So for all these, what kind of resources required, how much capital cost will go, that all you will have to think about. Another thing that you have to be very mindful is, what are the external requirements associated with it? So e-waste collection and delivery, from where you are going to get this e-waste, what collection center you are going to tie up. So for example, you are living in Delhi and you decided to work on electronic waste that is being collected in Dwarka, sector 6 or sector 14 or somewhere. You need to be very, very mindful that what kind of people or what kind of electronic waste you will be collected from that area, whether this is an industrial area or whether this is a residential area, whether this is an educational institution. From every different place, you will get different type of e-waste, and accordingly, you will have to develop different type of processing units. So what kind of collection center you want to tie up, from where you will get this, and what will be the categories of e-waste. You have to be mindful, and this will be an external requirement. You will have to tie up with someone, and that will develop opportunities for employment and collaboration. Then third thing that comes is output effects and parameter. You need to know what kind of raw material you are getting, how much amount of raw material you are getting, because based on amount of raw material that you need to process in one day, you will define the size of your machinery. So you need to know how much amount of raw material and what kind of raw material you are getting, what will be the purity level. If you are getting the pure electronic waste, you do not have to worry about the manual segregation. But if you are getting a domestic waste, which can include domestic items along with your electronic waste item, you need to manually segregate. So that will add additional cost in your overall thing. So these are the different things which offers different employment opportunities, different technology advancement, but you have to be very, very mindful before deciding each and every step. Now, the next thing comes, now you have reached to that stage where mineral processing can be done. You can collaborate with any research institution. Many research institutions are working on electronic waste technology development in terms of mineral processing, in terms of plastic to fuel conversion. They are working on pyrometallurgy, they are working on hydrometallurgy, they are working on new alternative technologies. So you can collaborate with them. I will not go into detail of this section because this is widely available in research articles. The only thing that I can say on this particular thing in this presentation, and to cover the scope of the presentation, is that once you reach the mineral processing, you have the opportunity to collaborate with industries, you have the opportunity to collaborate with different research institutions, and that collaboration will help in terms of technology development. So that again offers a lot of opportunities in this case. So finally, I would like to summarize in terms of just saying 2 lines. Trash is not the right place for electronic waste. Please understand your e-waste. Please define your e-waste in a very sensible manner, in a very mindful manner, when to decide this is an e-waste, what to decide as an e-waste, and how to discard it. Whether you really want to send it to collection center, whether you want to resell it, or whether you just want to throw it into the trash. This is completely your choice, but that will contribute to the e-waste minimization or e-waste maximization. So please be very mindful. Trash is definitely not the right place. Thank you. Hello,
Thank you, Dr. Garima.
should I stop sharing?
You are completed.
Yes, thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Garima. Uh, Now I request to participants if any question.
Sir, we receive a question from Sunil Sahu, sir. Kindly read that.
Please read, Rohit.
Hello, ma'am. The first question is what are the legal formalities to open a collection center?
So yes, I know some of the legal formalities, but not the completely. But the major thing is you need to get an approval for the collection center location. Ideally, it should be in an industrial place, but it should be at a certain distance, like from I don't not know the exact distance, but it should be somewhere around in the periphery of 25 kilometers of that area from where you want to collect your thing. You need to take permission from your state pollution control board to open that collection center, and then you need to define what kind of specific electronic waste you want to collect in your collection center and what will be the storage conditions. That will be the major legal responsibility.
Okay, ma'am. And the second question is what is the business model after we open a collection center?
So once you open a collection center, the next step will be to tie up from in both direction. How are you going to collect this trash? So either you want to collect trash yourself, in your own company, or you want to collaborate with someone else, like some other company who will deliver this trash to your collection center. So that will be completely your choice. Some people collect themselves and some people hire other people to collect for them. Once you decided how to collect this has come to your collection center. Now next business model will be to tie up with a manual sorting place or a shredder or a trash crusher unit. Either you want to buy it yourself in your business unit, that will be completely okay. Otherwise, you need to just deliver your collection, your e-waste collection to the required to the place where they can shred it, they can crush it, and then they can separate it to different units. So I know that in Delhi, there is 2 or 3 collection centers. There are 2 or 3 collection centers. They are tying up. They are basically collaborating themselves, and then in a big amount, they are transferring their total electronic waste to somewhere else for shredding and crushing. So that would be kind of a business model for collaboration.
Thank you, ma'am. The third question is in India, do we have laws to stop boundary shipments?
I know that Toxic Link India is working on this, but I really know that do we really have a proper law for this or not? But Toxic Link India is working hard on this transboundary shipment ban process.
Okay, ma'am. And the last question is also from Sunil Sahu, sir. Is e-waste management coming under MOHUA, Ministry of Home and Urban Affairs?
Yes, it comes in MOHUA.
Okay.
Rohit, Deepak wants to say something. Deepak, please go
Yes,
ahead.
you may kindly unmute yourself and ask.
Thank you very much, Dr. Garima, for a wonderful presentation. It's really useful. It has covered a lot of points. I have 2 quick questions. The first one is regarding your experience for, let's say, how effective the EPR mandate has been in India, particularly for e-waste. Now, EPR has also been extended to automotive. Now, solar modules are also being possibly integrated into e-waste category. And then there would be a mandate for that. But yes, it's already there in automotive segment as well. Plastics are also a part of that mandate separately. But in your overall experience, what has been the success parameters, or if it's not working, what has been the learning as far as the e-waste or EPR strategies are concerned? And the second one is how to, in a way, bridge the gap between, let's say, when the e-waste reaches to informal supply chain, and then to make it directly to the formal collection recycling unit. So rather than going into informal recycling units, can we have a system where, yes, it goes to the kabadiwala just for collection and sorting, but right after that, it reaches to the formal recycling unit?
So
Thank
I
you.
will, thank you, Deepak. I will give you an answer for your first question, EPR. So in terms of e-waste EPR, I do not really say that this is a successful strategy in India for now, although I have heard a lot of exchange options recently about mobile phones, especially mobile phones, not about the laptops, computers, other things, but especially mobile phones, because in India, we are changing mobile phones every year or in every 2 years. But it is not that successful, just like the automotive industry. It is not that successful for now, but it is going in a positive direction, I would say. For the answer of your second question, that how to bridge the gap, I am recently in contact with one of the industry in Mumbai. What they are doing in their business model, they are hiring the local kabadiwalas and rediwalas as a employee for their collection center, so that these kabadiwalas and rediwalas who can sell these electronic waste at a very low price to random places, they do not sell their random places, but they sell to the collection center at a very reasonable fixed price, not the random prices. So if they get some kind of benefit that I am getting a fixed price for this waste material, they will be convinced to sell it to you, not to some random place who is offering 10 rupees extra amount for that, or who is offering 50 rupees extra. If they are getting a fixed amount each month to their income, they will be kind of convinced to sell it to you. And that's what this Mumbai company is doing for their collection center. They have collaborated with around 50 kabadiwalas in Mumbai, and then they are getting all the collection from those kabadiwalas to their collection center. From there, they are sending it to another separation unit, and that is kind of a collaboration, but it is successful collaboration. So that could be kind of an approach to convert to do formalization of informal sector, I would say.
Thank you very much. So just to sort of, how can such models be scaled up? First question. Secondly, can't some policy work like subsidy for setting up such organization? I mean, maybe even from private sectors, such such mechanism could be tailed out in a way, let's say, because even take back mechanisms are also there. They also put up some cost for that. EPR, again, it takes a lot of cost to process such strategies. So in that way, if some cost can be rather utilized just for subsidy purpose, where recovery of such waste from informal streams could be maximized, wouldn't that be a better approach?
Yes, for sure, that would be a better approach if there could be a subsidy associated with this. But I don't know if it comes to a government initiative, because many private industry or private people or private startups are doing this on their own. But if it includes a government initiative or includes a government strategy for that, probably it will take time to reach to that stage. But it will definitely be a good option.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other question from participants? Dr. Narendra Kumar is with us. You want to explain anything? Okay. No questions right now. Thank you, Dr. Garima Chauhan, for the excellent presentation. You explain very well current scenario, processing routes, challenges, opportunity, etc. on the e-waste. And thank you, thank you very much. Thank you very much to all the participants for the valuable time. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am.